getting ready for bread tomorrow, and I love to add sprouts and sprouted grains to my bread. So that the night before, I go ahead and soak some grains. And this is what I call the Ezekiel bread. You've seen it in the stores, so I'm not the only one that calls it that. But Ezekiel uses 6 grains, and they were listed in Ezekiel 4:9. And it's talking about millet and barley and oats and spelt and lentils. I mean, it seems weird to add lentils to your bread, but that's what the scripture says. And then I add quinoa just because I like to add that. It's a high-protein grain, and it's kind of new to the world. Of course, it's been in the Andes for millions of years or something, thousands of years. But so I like to add quinoa. So that's the 6 that I add to my wheat. And so I'll go ahead and sprout these the night before, and then I use the water from the sprout I actually drink it because it's delicious and it's like a, wonderful mild grain drink. And then the grains, after they're sprouted, are soft, and then you can just put them in the blender, add water, and throw it in your bread. It's wonderful. So here we go. I'm just going to put like a 1/4 cup of each grain, and it's not crucial at all how this goes. So I just put a 1/4 cup of each grain into my quart jar. Oops. And even lentils, kind of weird. And oat groats. Now, oat groats, because they haven't been mashed like we are used to our rolled oats. It's been rolled and smashed. And so these are oat groats, and they actually can sprout. They're just like wheat or barley or anything else. They're just a nice little grain. So they're actually soft. They're not delightful or anything, but you can eat them. So if you get a big old 50-pound bag of oat groats, you can eat them. And if you soak them overnight, for sure you can eat them. So it tastes exactly like oatmeal. And so they're really good, and you can add a little tiny bit of brown sugar, and you've got something. So a lot of times you can just soak these overnight, even in a thermos, like a hot thermos. Tomorrow your cereal's ready, and you didn't have to cook them at all. Anyway, so now you take your mixed grains like this. See, they're all mixed together. You fill them to the water, topped with water. So you're going to soak them overnight, and then you're going to use that rich soap water to drink. And then when you pour that water out, and the reason why you pour it out instead of putting it in your bread is because when your bread is baking, it bakes out and kills all those good nutrients. So you want to drink them while they're raw. And then add this wet soaked grain to your bread, and that will make it nice and chewy and crunchy and wonderful and very high in nutrition. Now, the night we do our sprouting for bread, because we're making bread tomorrow, so since we're doing that sprouting, we're just going to go ahead and throw some other sprouts in the jar. Might as well. And so I do that at the same time. And we've got a lot of choices. We've got broccoli seeds, radish seeds, alfalfa seeds, mung beans. And so what we do is for stir fry, we'll just use like a couple tablespoons of mung beans. And that's going to look just like the stuff you get at the store. And for a couple of days, they'll sprout. And then we just use this kind of mesh lid that we cut from a craft mesh that you buy at the Walmart for $0.10 or $2. But anyway, you cut it in the shape of your lid, and it fits right in there. And what's interesting about this is that it's also interchangeable with a wide mouth pint and wide mouth quart. So you can use them interchangeably. And so we put that mung bean in there, and now we're going to soak this overnight. Pour it out, and then fill it with water, pour it out. And so we're just going to keep doing that every day, and rinse it, pour it out, rinse it, pour it out. And pretty soon this will fill this entire jar. So it is an amazing process, and you can just watch it. And I just keep it right by my sink. It's supposed to be in the dark in the closet or something, but you do that and you'll forget to water it, and then you'll find some rotten seeds somewhere. So anyway, I just keep them right by my sink. I go ahead and fill it up, pour it out. People will think, oh, it's supposed to be in the dark. But that's just me. Then I have this mix. We mixed this up. It's actually radish, alfalfa, and broccoli. And it's pretty powerful little mix. It's really fun. So if you mix that all up, all you're going to need is like a teaspoon, and it's going to fill this whole jar. And because the alfalfa seeds are so small, we have to get this lid with the tiniest mesh. I haven't been able to find the cheap stuff in tiny little mesh. So for alfalfa seeds, we've got to use the more expensive lid. And I guess you can get these just about anywhere, like at health food stores and that kind of thing. So I'm going to fill that with water. I'm going to fill my Ezekiel mix with water. I'm going to fill mung beans with water. And then tomorrow morning, pour them all out. Use all the water because the water is rich and wonderful. You don't want the water from beans. Remember, we dump the water from beans. We don't want to drink that. But from seeds, we want that water. It's very rich in nutrients. So we want that. And so that's going to be ready by, this will be ready tomorrow for our bread, and then these will be ready in about a week. So by this time next week, they'll be sprouted, fill the whole jar, and ready to use. So I guess we'll have to come back in a week, and I'll show you. This is the third day on our sprouts here, and you can see that they're starting to get little tails, and pretty soon that will fill that whole jar with sprouts. Our alfalfa sprouts are coming along beautifully. And our Ezekiel mix. So one of the things I've learned that's kind of fun is I found this thing at Walmart. It's just a colander, but it's square, and it fits nicely inside a regular tub for dishes. Walmart doesn't sell this together, but I found them. They just happen to sit right inside each other. So then, when you want to take your sprouts out, because this is getting so full that if I waited another day, it would just be too full to even get out of there. And plus, it blocks them from being able to really sprout because they're so jammed in there. So we could take them out, because today's Wednesday. So tomorrow, we're going to want these. Now, I'm not sure why these mung beans have roots. They have roots on them, but when you get them in the store, they don't have roots on them. Maybe they've pulled each root off. I don't know. But usually you don't see roots growing like this. But I've learned not to mind the roots. I just don't look. I don't notice. And you throw that in a stir fry, and it all kind of melts down, or what do you call it? Just gets soft. So, so it doesn't matter about the roots. I'm sure they're very nutritious. But anyway, there's beans. So that'll sit nicely on the counter till tomorrow night. And then it's time to start another jar for next week. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill it up. I start with a clean jar. I don't use the same old jar. And get them wet. These are going to soak overnight and get ready for next week.